Our top story for you. You may have seen the latest on Phil Lyman. He's running as a write-in candidate for governor after Governor Cox beat him in the primary.
But he's not the only Lyman who's filed to run as a write-in, and this is where it gets complicated. So let's explain. Now, Richard Lyman and Carol Lyman are also running for governor and lieutenant governor, respectively, as unaffiliated write-in candidates. Richard, the son, Carol, the mother, they are not related to Phil Lyman. The original Lyman, Phil Lyman, is accusing Spencer Cox's campaign of paying Richard and Carol Lyman to join the race and confuse voters. The Cox campaign is denying any role in this whatsoever. In a statement, they said Phil Lyman has a habit of making accusations that are blatantly false. This is no exception. Phil should go back to filming ads to help his cousin and liberal Democrat Brian King. Well, Phil Lyman put out these tweets showing text messages from a man named James. James claims that he works with Richard Lyman and that Richard was offered a steak dinner and $1,000 by the Cox campaign to run as that write-in candidate. Strange, right? So we tracked down James and asked him straight up, did Richard Lyman tell him these things and implicate that Cox campaign, huh? James says yes. And then he said this.
I actually sent a message to my wife telling her what had just gone on because, you know, she's into politics. I'm not so much. And she said, I'm going to send this to Phil Lyman. And I said, well, okay. And then I sent Rich some texts because I was worried maybe what he was doing was illegal. And I thought it would be a good idea for him to record the conversation. He said he would, and that's the last I've heard about any of it.
Well, James told me that Richard seems to be backtracking now and is distancing himself from those Cox allegations. Now, we couldn't get a hold of Richard, but we talked with his mother and running mate, Carol. Neither want to appear on camera, but Carol sent us a statement which reads in part, Governor Cox's campaign is not paying us. I, Carol, actually paid the fees for both of us, period. We're running to make a statement. People keep asking if we're related to Phil Lyman. And last Sunday, someone asked, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I've always been proud of my name, and the negativity of his campaign is causing me real embarrassment. Richard and I talked about it and decided to run so that we had a candidate we could feel good about voting for because we don't feel good about voting for Cox or Phil Lyman. So, Phil Lyman claims this is a move by the Cox campaign to confuse voters. The Cox campaign denies this, and the other Lymans say they don't like Cox or Phil Lyman. And James says he's concerned about wrongdoing and felt a duty to report the conversation he had with Richard Lyman. By the way, James says he's voting for Phil Lyman. We'll keep looking into this and we'll bring you more updates as this story continues.